How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fastidious. Welcome back to my channel. I have got a short, very fun, if I do say so myself, video for you today, courtesy of the marvelous Maku. Maybe you remember Maku from our calendar, our interactive calendar, all the cool coding he did behind the scenes. He did maybe even cooler coding right now. You probably saw the title of the video. A lot of people have been asking, how many summons do I have to do to get this many points or this many points? How many summons does it take to complete the spiritual altar event? How many summons does it take to get the max whatever rewards from the arrival of heroes, these little milestone rewards? You know, it's not showing up right now, but you know what I mean. Where is it? The little incremental rewards you get as you go. Well, Maku, the brilliant little programmer he is, just an amazing guy, software developer, he built software, a summoning software, a Watcher of Realms summoning software. If people are interested, there's a lot of other uses that we could do with this that I could put forward if we want to publish it, if people want to see it. So let me know in the comments, let Maku and I know. I just got off the phone with him. We're super down to do it. We'll publish it somewhere. Maybe we'll make a little blog or website or something. But let's get to the good stuff. How many points does it take? Well, we did our due diligence, or should I say Maku did, and then he explained it all to me. Basically, we ran 100,000 simulations for all these different situations, right? So what are we looking at here? Maku, using his proprietary software, literally ran millions, literal millions of simulations for us to try to get us the most likely, the strongest, the most statistically supported outcome. So let me actually take this off your screen really quickly because I do have to explain something oh so quickly. If we go to events and we go to spiritual altars, all of this is in reference between whatever kind of summons you're doing and then what you're getting, and then how that gives you points. So what do I mean by that? In case you've never known, obviously you know you get points for summoning, but it's broken down rarity by rarity and then non-lord versus lord. So if I click right here, you will see ways to earn points. A 2-star hero, just a common hero, you're gonna get 1 point. A 3-star hero, a rare hero, is 10. A rare lord, a 3-star lord, is 20. An epic hero is 150. A 4-star lord, a 4-star epic lord, right? That's 450. A legendary is 500. And then a legendary lord is a whopping 1,200 points. So he did these million of simulations and all these different test circumstances to figure out how many points you will get on average, and then how many points you will get with a very conservative minimum. Like, what's the minimum you can look for very conservatively? I'll break that down in a second, but basically using these point values that we know we're gonna do, we have like these different buckets of ways to get point values, and then he very simply went to the summoning portal and used the listed rates here, right? So if I show you, we know this is the drop rate of Legendary Lords plus Iax. Of course, we're including Iax in that. His points correspond the same way. Then we have our Legendary, so we have this 0.08% and the 0.92%. Then we've got the 0.12% for the Epic Lords, the 7.88% for the Epics, so on and so on, right? Here are our Rare Lords, Borit, Nero, and Dagna, 3.99%, and then 37.51% are our Rares, our 3-stars, and finally our base 2-stars, the Uncommons, 49.5%. So, went through a lot of numbers there, but that's basically how he built the whole thing, and it's kind of like a weighted simulation where you have X% chance to get this, Y to get this, Z, so on, directly based off of those rates. And the guy really, he went after it. He did some amazing stuff. So let's actually talk about what Maku accomplished. So as you see here, you were seeing the point results. So how many points you earn given a certain amount of summons that you did with rare summoning crystals. We're going to start with rare summoning crystals. Then I have separate data on the legendary summon crystals or the gold summoning crystals, you know, that you do with the divine summoning. But here we're going to focus on the rare summoning crystals. So we have different cases that he would run each time, 100,000 simulations based on the number of summons, on average how many points you got, and then what was that conservative minimum. So point results of 100,000 simulations for X summons, no pity time respected. It's very important that he put that in there because actually it will probably be, if you time your pity out right, you could also just get lucky and it will reset your pity if you pull legendary, but you could time your pity out right to get you that guaranteed 500 point minimum from a legendary. Maybe it's a legendary lord and it's 1,200. But so that was not taken into consideration. So it could be even a little bit better. But basically what we're looking at is we have these test cases. Okay, I do X number of summons. So at 40 summons, we ran that. Maku ran that 100,000 times through his simulating software. And on average, you were getting 809 points. On average, you're getting just over 20 points per summon, right? We did that for all these different cases. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cases, all the way up to 300 summons, right? It's a pretty interesting thing because why didn't we go higher than 300? Well, who cares about how many points you're going to get if you're going over 300? Because you'll see on average at 300 already, you're getting over 6,000 points. You're starting to max out events. If you want to see that, we could calculate it. But I think at this point, that is 800,000 simulations. There's another 800,000 simulations there with a 2x occurring, right? And then he did the same thing with different numbers of summons, obviously, but for those legendary crystals during the divine event. But so to break down these columns, the second column here, so we have our summons. So we did 40 summons. We simulated that 100,000 times. On average, the mean was 809 points. That's how much you were getting based on the distributions of heroes that you were getting. However, here, and this did take him a minute to explain to me, because at first I thought that conservative, okay, so this is our average, this is our conservative average. No, this is just a conservative lens to view this. So what Maku did here is he did not like a trimmed mean, if you're familiar with statistics, he did a trimmed range. So if you have our 100,000 simulations, he trimmed, or he deleted the bottom 2% of results. So the bottom 20,000 simulations that had the worst results. So he took 2001 all the way up to 100,000. So that remaining 98,000, that top 88%, he then took what was the lowest end of that range. So what was, if you ranked them from lowest to highest, 1 to 100,000, what was number 2001? Like 98% of the time, what's the absolute worst thing you could expect based on his 100,000 simulations? So for 40 summons, that was 239 points. So even though on average, 809 points, you're getting about 20 points per summon. The number here, I think if you want to be very conservative, we just want to give you that realistic thing. Only 1 in 50 times, right? 49 out of 50 times, 98 out of 100 times, you can almost certainly hope that you will get, and not even hope, you can be sure that you'll get 239 points or more. So this number is going to rise relative to the average number the more you do it, because the more summons, the more sample size there is, and the more it's controlled for outlier events, right? So if you just got straight up all uncommons or something, right? If for your 40 summons, that would only be 40 points. So we then continued with all these different summoning amounts you might do. So at 60 summons, on average, you're getting 1,211 points, nearly 1,212, but a conservative estimate of 484 through the same process. On and on and on. You guys can pause it. You can look through this. We can post these graphics if you want. All the way up to 300 summons. On average, you're looking at 6,054 points. And now the numbers are getting much closer together. 4,200 is the conservative. So 98% of the time, the absolute worst you could do is 4,209 points. All right. So that gives you a very good sense. You can see here, the lines look straight, guys, but actually these are slightly logarithmic, because as you can see, the relative amount that the conservative is less, you know, in terms of scale than the average gets less and less and less as you do more and more and more. As the sample size grows, as I said, you're controlling for those outlier events. Now here, we have the same thing going on with the 2x Lego. When that is active, but you're doing rare summons, obviously there are more points to be had because you have more opportunities to get those 500 or 1,200 points from legendaries and legendary lures respectively. So it's the same process there. You can see still that logarithmic pattern happening. We have the same conservative absolute minimum 98% of the time. And you can see the points are a bit higher, as you might expect. So this can give you a very good sense, right? So right now we have a 2x live, right? And very funny enough, we'll get into the legendary stuff and really quickly, the legendary summoning crystals. But very funny enough, just the way it works out, if you saw there those 300 summons, if we head now into this, I'll go to the spiritual altar to get those this spiritual altar is crazy, man. To get the first 5 is already at 1,600 points, which is not easy to get. 4,620 is to get the next 10 fragments, the next 10 shards. Let me pop that back up for you guys now. You can actually see the way it works out. Granted, this is the very conservative, like in your 98% of the time, what you can be guaranteed to at least get. That 4,200 is actually happening. Well, I guess that one's 4,600, but you're not even approaching in that worst case scenario, getting that crazy number at 300 summons. Oh no, excuse me, I'm looking at the 2x. At 2x, that is about exactly it, 4,600. Granted, that is like the worst case scenario 98% of the time, but funny how that number worked out. Now, moving on to the legendaries. Bit easier to digest. We just have, it's the same kind of thing, divine point results of 100,000 summons, simulations for X summons. So we have 1 summon, 5 summons, 10 summons, 15, 20. These are the numbers Maku chose because you're not gonna have 300 gold summons. You're not gonna have 300 legendary summons. So you can see a very interesting thing does happen here when we take that conservative approach. It is just strictly linear. So how do we arrive at that number? Well, if you remember, the worst you can get from a legendary summon, right? The worst you can get from a gold crystal, that is going to be 150 points, because the worst you can get is a non-Lord Epic. That's 150. Then a Lord Epic is 450, a legendary is 500, and then of course the legendary lore is a whopping 1200. So when you take that very conservative approach and you trim the bottom 2%, but then you take the worst case scenario out of the remaining 98%, every time it's just assuming you're just getting epics. You'd have to get to much higher numbers before this conservative number changed, so it is strictly linear. They match exactly. However, you might want to focus on the averages. Let me make it a bit bigger, because maybe that's where it is a bit more interesting to you. And guys, again, no pity timer was considered for this, but at one summon on average with no 2x, it's just above the 150 that you get from the epic. It's at 177. At one summon with the 2x, it is a good bit bigger, just over 200 points. On and on it goes. And then you can see there is, a significant difference. At 20 summons, how many of us actually have 20 gold summons to do at once? I don't know, maybe some of us do, but you're talking just over 3,500 points on average with a 3,000 conservative estimate. You can see they're converging, but it's linear here as opposed to 4,000 and 3,000 respectively with the average from the 2x active and the conservative approach. So a lot of numbers. I hope I did a good job explaining it. Please let us know in the comments if you guys have any questions at all for me, or probably more importantly, Maku. Maku really is, just gonna give him a big thank you. He is a brilliant guy out of Missouri, wonderful state, super patient, super bright, and really does this out of the goodness of his heart. The guy just loves gaming. He loves numbers. It's, I think, amazing what he's given me to share with the community. I'm happy to have him on whenever he's up for it. But in the meantime, if you guys want to see more of these simulations, he built the software, so we might as well use it. Let us know. Let me know if this was helpful. And let me know if you want us to at least publish the screenshots. Maybe I'll already just upload them and include them in the description to the video. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps. I've been Fastidious. I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.